Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast, is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show. Welcome back to the show, kids. You don't know what just happened, but Joe made a loud bang, and I wasn't going to reveal it. But you know what? We're going to dox it today. We're diving into another episode of the show. What's up, everybody? I'm Tom. That's Jay. And since he made the noise, Joe goes last. Welcome to Two Nations Under Ted, a Ted Lasso podcast. We kick things off in the right way. Uncomfortable awkwardness. So there you go. Guys, we're covering episode 5 here today. How's everybody feeling so far, man? We're at the midway point of season 1. And I would say, can you believe we're finally here? But honestly, can you believe we're finally here? This is pretty cool.
Again, the more I've gone back and rewatched them, the more I'm like, there's so much little hidden stuff.
Yeah. Even
jokes that I missed the first time round because I was laughing at the other jokes that were there. It's so good. And this is like kind of the turning point that sets up the rest of the seasons, basically, isn't it? This is where everything comes out into the open.
Yeah, so as you've been saying to a friend of ours who's just started watching Ted Lasso because we're doing this podcast.
Awesome.
Everything happens for a reason in the show.
Yes.
And there's so many little things in this episode, this episode in particular that I picked up on that I was like, oh yeah, I remember that from like later on, and just like see full circle moments that happen later on. It's a lot of it seems to stem from this episode.
Mm. And you know, I love the way you put that. And I mean, Joe won the first prize trophy here when I think you said 1 or 2 episodes back that there's no wasted movement. That's the best way to put it. There's literally nothing left at the end of this entire series. You're like, they're done. I'm good. Yep. I feel so good. Everything's done. There's nothing where you're like, yeah, but they never went back. Yes, they did. They went back to everything. You know,
there's not an ounce of fat on it. Everything is there for a reason, and everything is tied up nicely at the end. It's why when it finished, people were like, oh, well, we want another season. I was like, there's no story left to tell.
There's no story left to tell.
Everything's done.
Yeah. The more I like watching this back, the more I kind of realized they probably wrote this whole story like as one thing and then figured out where to like split it up into like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
To put the beats into it, yeah.
Yeah. And even episodes that feel like filler, like looking back, there's important things that happen and everything.
But I watching it the first time, I think it's Beard's Night Out.
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't do anything. It's just, it feels like a really fillery episode. But I'm ahead of where we're up to now because you can't just watch one, can you? I'll just put another one on. Which has led to me getting very confused in my notes at times. But it does make sense because it feeds into Jamie's backstory, Beard's backstory. It's like everything happens for a reason. It's what makes it, I think, possibly one of the most beautiful and self-contained series of anything ever because it's not like, like Lost, where they started it and then they were like, we don't know where we're going with this. This clearly has a beginning, middle, end, done. And Apple have gone, we'll give you 60 million for another season.
Well, I was about to say when you said that, like the only way I think I'd want maybe not another season called Ted Lasso, but like another season within that world would be if it would be like this where it's 3, but it's like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and they've got a clear vision, a clear idea of what they're doing, and they're not just doing it because they've been like sent like a dump truck of money. They're doing it because they've thought, oh yeah, we could actually tell this story within that world really nicely. And I think the fans would want to see that.
It's a possibility. My only concern with that is it sullies the original with stuff like that. If you go back and it's not as good or it feels like a cash-in, I'm always a bit reticent to like, it darkens the waters of the first one. But,
Like they wanted, meaning the HBO folks, wanted another season of Watchmen. And I think it was Damon Lindelof was the showrunner for the first season, I think I've got that right. And by the way, we covered that show on Tom Clark 6 and podcast. Shameless plug. But they wanted another season, and he said, I don't have another story. We're done. We told the story I wanted to tell. There's nothing left.
And to be fair,
yeah,
the Watchmen TV series is infinitely better than the film.
Oh,
I still haven't watched it.
Miles better.
It's
the TV series is great.
It's miles better.
I would say read the graphic novel and then watch the thing. Don't watch the film because apart from not Haley Joel Osment, what's he called? The guy that plays Rorschach. Everyone else Jackie Earle Haley Joel Osment. Everyone else kind of doesn't show up. Like it's a very weird.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan's okay as the comedian.
Yeah. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he's always good in everything, isn't he? Like,
the moral of the story there is if you've got 3 names and in Watchmen you're good.
Well done.
To just go back to the drawing board.
If you're not, you're gonna have a weird sex scene to Leonard Cohen music. Yeah.
To take a line from Jay, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Let's jump into this, kids. We are on to, as we said before, episode 5 of season 1 of Ted Lasso. This episode is entitled Tan Lines. The original air date is August 28th, 2020. This one is directed by Elliot Hegarty, a story by Brett Goldstein. You may know him as Roy Kent. And as we said, 10 episodes in season 1. We're at the midway point now. When last we left the Ted Lasso gang, we saw Rebecca manage to survive one of the toughest nights of her life following her divorce to Rupert, thanks to Ted himself. We also saw the end of a relationship as Keeley moved on from Jamie, and a very subtle spark between her and Roy, who finally had an adult conversation with Jamie about their rivalry on the team. And that's where we find ourselves going in here. We open this episode at the dog track. Higgins is getting dropped off by his wife and kids. She says, tell your boss I hope she gets heart disease. And he's like, ooh, right? It's a great little reaction. And then we have the spot of him wishing Ted good morning. Ted says, good morning. And bam, head first to the roll-up door. It's one of those Looney Tunes moments of comedy for Ted Lasso, the character. And it sets the tone. Talk about setting the tone for who this guy is. It's a little throwaway moment of a gag, but it's so funny, man.
He does it there, and I think in another episode later on, he does that thing that everyone's done, where you jump up in a doorway and crack your head on like the frame of the door, and it's the worst pain you've ever felt because it gets right into like the fontanelle part of your brain. But yeah, it's Ted, isn't it? He's just happy-go-lucky, but yeah, cracks his head and just falls over.
What's great is that one of Higgins' kids says, "Is he dead?" So good.
I love the fact that Higgins' kids like all feel like different members of the team. Like they're all like saying bye, and then there's that one who goes, whatever, like Roy.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I like that. Connect the dots. I like that. So Ted is immediately with Rebecca in the next scene, tells her that he's been checking on his wife's flight. She's coming in with their son. He admits to her that they have been having problems, that they've already tried couples therapy, but they didn't like the other couple, which is a great line. He tells her about the code word Oklahoma, and if one of them uses it, the other one has to tell the God's honest truth no matter what. He says it's useful, but it ruined the musical for him, which is another great line. She brings up that Ted's sharing with her because she opened up to him about Rupert at the gala. He confirms and asks if she's glad they're getting closer. She says, I do. And he says, Oklahoma. She says, I do not. And it's so quick. So good.
I feel like when they were doing the bit where they were naming the tunes and Rebecca just dropped one in, that there's little moments like this with her and Ted where it's almost like she like his kind of positivity is infectious. Like she can't help herself getting involved in the bit.
Yeah.
But then instantly she's like, no, I need to distance myself from this because I'm trying to fuck this guy over.
True.
And there's a bit where I actually had to rewind this, like when I was writing my notes, when he brings up that his marriage isn't in like a great situation. You can see like Rebecca kind of like can relate to that. So she, for a moment, she looks really concerned for Ted. And then obviously she kind of like remembers like what a kind of like mission statement is, and she's like wanting to fuck Ted over. So, well, the club over, but with Ted as like the kind of patsy. So she like then goes back to being like stern and like disinterested. Just a brief second, but as I say, I had to rewind it to see the actual thing. But as we've like kind of like said with Ted and Rebecca's relationship, there's so many little things that you kind of pick up at like early on that you've got to kind of go back to and go, oh yeah.
It's very layered, Joe, their relationship, but layered kind of sounds negative. I don't mean it in a negative way. I think it's layered to the point of, I think that's why a lot of people believe they were supposed to have been together because of the spark. It's so layered. It's so much more than that. You know what I mean?
It's not a sexual thing. I think like Ted sees that she's unhappy and wants to help. And it is like these things in the morning, these morning briefing things, you see him slowly chip away at her. And it's like they're joining in with the song that you see that she can't help but get involved. And then she's like, oh, no, I'm supposed to be, no. But she can't help herself because Ted's just Ted. And that's the thing, like they were never going to end up together. That's not the story. That would be too easy. It's him helping her, as he does with everyone, become the best version of themselves.
So one thing I actually noticed in this episode, and I think it's because it's the first time you see them both in the episode, like in quite close proximity as far as scenes go. There's a lot of parallels between Michelle and Rebecca, and I think that's why people kind of expected Rebecca and Ted to end up together. Because you see like where Ted's like just being Ted, and obviously he realizes Michelle's unhappy, and there's a bit where like she's like because the son's there, she's trying to kind of put on a brave face and like indulge Ted, and then obviously as soon as the son's away, she's like, I'm unhappy. Mm-hmm. I think that with that parallel where it's like obviously she's trying to indulge Ted, and then when Ted's like just being nice to Rebecca and Rebecca's just losing herself for a minute and being nice back, it's almost like there's that kind of like similarity between the two characters, but obviously two very different sort of trajectories as well.
They have a connection that's not defined by sexual attraction. I mean, yeah. I mean, and it's a shame that some people who call themselves smart can't see that. Look, it's all subjective. Well, I mean, we can all have our opinions all day, but to me, I just personally never saw, oh, maybe they'll. I'm not saying I didn't question. Oh, maybe I wonder. But then I'd be like, yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think it'll work. I don't know if it feels right.
It's too easy a thing to do. If it was any other sort of sitcom, yeah, they would have done.
Yeah.
This isn't about that.
I think it's one of those things as well where if they had have established it earlier, it would have been a bit more kind of forgivable, let's say. But because throughout the show, it's kind of established more that like Ted and Rebecca are each other's support system.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah.
They always should just be very good friends, never romantically linked.
Yeah.
I think that
just be that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why obviously later in the series they did that scene which kind of teased that to kind of like as a nudge wink to go, look, this is where we're going. I know some people want it, but this is our way of kind of going, well, actually, no, it's completely platonic.
And I was so excited by episode 4, guys. I remember episode 4, I talked about this is where we got her. And we didn't get her. We made strides, but we didn't get her. We don't have her yet. And you can tell in this episode, we don't have her yet. And you could really tell by the end of episode 6, we don't have her yet. Like,
I think the thing with Rebecca is like, it's very much 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
Every time she seems to be like warming to Ted and the team and like the club itself.
You get a Rupert, but you get a new Rebecca or a...
Yeah, there's a reminder of Rupert that makes her go, no, my whole point of this is to destroy this club.
And it sort of resets that focus of it. Because you, like you said, you do see her sort of go, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And then we get a Rupert doing something and it just resets the whole thing again. And Ted's just got to break those walls down again. But each time you break them down, they become a little bit more easy to destroy.
That's true. Well, the scene after this is classic Jamie Tartt. As we said, he's nowhere near learned his lesson yet, because Keeley goes to Jamie's place, evidently to return his keys. They've since broken up, of course, as we said before. Sees this pretty girl in the refrigerator who's like starstruck by Keeley and loves her. And here comes Jamie in very small pair of underwear. Okay. And he's like, oh, no. He's instantly, you can't get mad. You know, we broke. She's like, yeah, like 24 hours ago, we broke up.
What am I supposed to do? Shower on my own?
Exactly. Yeah. God forbid we live in a world where a man has to shower by himself. Are you kidding me? Oh, to be Jamie Tartt. Join the Untitled Wrestling Podcast for all the latest pro wrestling news from around the world. Want to dive deeper? Interviews, fantasy booking, roundtable discussions, quizzes, video game streaming, watch-alongs, and a lot more can all be found on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. You can also find the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Untitled Wrestling Podcast, and Twitter, Twitch, and Discord at Untitled Rest Pod. Follow, subscribe, and download today. And what's weird, again, clueless, guys, where, you know, she says, you know what, usually I suffer for a long time, you know, wondering if I made the right decision, but, you know I have, so thank you. And he goes, do you mean that? And you're like, oh God, dude, don't do this. And of course you're welcome. I like making people feel good, which is like, all right. Good stuff.
It's a good little scene. It shows that Keeley has completely over this, but Jamie still thinks that, yeah, I'm Jamie Tartt. I've still got a chance with anyone.
I love the fact that it's like Jamie thinking he's done something like really like thoughtful and good. By like when she's like, thanks for helping me move on. He said, oh yeah, you're welcome.
And she's completely over it. You can see by her, she's like, yeah. Like you can tell she thought about it. She's like, yeah, I'm fine. That's pretty cool.
I think she may have come back to drop the keys off and have a bit of a chat and like, is this the right thing? And then when she just sees that young lass there who's like, oh, I'm a big fan, and she's like, I follow you on Instagram and everything, she just goes, thank you. It's a very strange situation to find yourself in. But yeah, the decision's made now, and after the little conversations with Roy and stuff, it leads to that sort of going forward a little bit here.
And, you know, a bit of foreshadowing with her and Roy later. We don't want to spoil anything if you're watching along. But I don't know that I saw that coming, to be honest with you, because I thought, Roy, shut up. But, like, I don't know that she breaks him down as much as he wants her to break him down, maybe. Maybe it's a little bit of both.
It feels kind of like that scene in the car park a couple of episodes back.
Yes.
Where, like, they had, like, the bit of back and forth. And, like, obviously Roy's used to people kind of like being afraid of him because he's big tough Roy Kent. So when she's just like straight away took the piss out of him, it's kind of like disarmed him a bit, and it's almost like he's like, oh yeah, she doesn't see me as this hard man, she sees me as like more than that.
Which she sees him as a person, because doesn't she say also like, didn't your last girlfriend steal your watch and sell it for drugs? Yeah. So it's like all his previous relationships have been with, I'm assuming, like Big Brother winners and glamour models and stuff like that. And she doesn't see him as a footballer because she's been around footballers. So it's like she's sort of numb to it and sees through the bravado and the facade of it all and sees him just as Roy Kent. That scared little 9-year-old boy. Like,
yeah. I love in that episode, actually, we forgot to mention it when we recorded last. When she like brings that up and Roy goes, yeah, well, I've got a phone, I don't need a watch.
It's so good. It's like it's all right, it's fine. Yeah, I got the phone, I'm good. So we go from this scene back to the dog track. Sam is open and Jamie won't pass to him. This becomes a thing that leads all the way to the very end of the show, which is very cool. Jamie kicks the ball in and Ted catches it. He asks Jamie, how many times do I have to tell you to make the extra pass? Sam is more open than the jar of peanut butter on my kitchen counter. They all look at him.
Everyone, like a dog that's been shown a magic trick.
Yeah. The dog that they showed a magic, that's effing perfect, man. Like, that is so good.
And then he just goes, oh, it's the bit where Jamie kicks it, he catches it, and he goes, that was going in. And he goes, well, we'll never know now.
Yep.
And it just instantly disarms him because he's like, well, yeah. Yeah, Ted keeps a jar of peanut butter on his kitchen counter open at all times so he can just put his finger in it as he walks past. And Roy goes, it's a good idea.
Yeah. It's like, that's a good idea, actually. Yeah, I can't believe it, but he got Roy first. Like
he said, didn't he? Said that's the first domino to fall.
He's right. He was right.
By the end of this episode in particular as well, like you see, like that's Roy completely on board.
Completely. Yeah, 100%. He got Roy. At the end of the day, Roy's a player, and Roy can smell bullshit. He knows. Like, if Ted didn't know the game, okay, but he's still learning. But if he knows skills, dude, he knows. Like, players are not stupid. They, especially veterans, they can smell bullshit a mile away. And I think that's maybe how he got Roy first, perhaps.
Yeah, he's also the captain, so he can use that to leverage other people in line.
Very true.
Thing. But it's also at this point as well, we start getting just a little cuts to Roy. And when Ted says something, he just goes, yeah, that's right. It's like he just does it all the way through from now on. He's just like a little hype man behind him constantly.
He tells Jamie, says, when Sam's open, pass it to him. Jamie says, listen, Sam's still shit. Sam runs up. He's all happy. And he says, I heard my name. What did he say? So good. Pierce says, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And he just goes, okay.
Yeah.
He's
all happy. Oh, my God. I got thoughts about what another show could be, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag because I want the wrap-up episode to be nothing but the three of us determining what another show would look like. In your words, cat's out of the bag, kids. But honestly, a lot of it for me centers on Sam. I think Sam could carry an entire show with a few other characters and another team, maybe in Nigeria. I think that would be effing hilarious.
You could even do it in the restaurant after he's retired.
I was going to say like a Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares style thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Gordon Ramsay coming in trying to like yell at Sam, and Sam's just like, okay, all the way through. He's just like, won't argue with him. He's like, that's probably a good idea, yeah.
Oh, Ted warns them if they're going to keep playing this way, they're going to get their butts kicked in the game tomorrow, and he's all about it. It's one of those, it's a gag where they set you up, and they're going this direction, so he can automatically say, oh, practice is canceled, so he can run because his wife and kids showed up. I love those setup jokes. They're so good, man. They happen a lot in this show.
His wife and kids show up, and Ted starts running, and then it's further than I thought as he runs over to them.
Nate says it's a lot longer run than he thinks. Beard says metaphor, which is good.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He said I thought you'd met me halfway, but it's fine. Yeah. And the relationship between him and his kid is established from the jump. He adores this kid. And I think that has to be made clear. And I think that the fact that his character is a little over the top when he sees his son is important, because you have to know when the way the show ends, the way it ends, why it has to end that way, because he just can't take it anymore. He's had too much distance. He can't do it anymore. So he's got to get back. So I love that. Like you said at the beginning, Joe, they set everything up in each episode. So good.
He's big goofy dumb dad, isn't he?
He is.
He's like, and you can talk, yeah. And it's
so
all dumb dad jokes, but it's no worse than any of Ted's other jokes. Like it's just who he is, and like obviously you can see, that he dotes on this boy, who is awful. I hate this kid.
He's not the best actor I've ever seen.
No. But I think that's having watched a lot of Hallmark films with annoying child actors in it. I've got a real sort of penchant for just terrible children actors.
You got no patience now for bad children.
He's fine. He gets better, but this scene here, I'm just like, I'd just fucking leave him.
There's great outtake. You ever seen the outtakes reel from the Little Rascals movie? At the end credits, there's outtakes. And there's like so many outtakes where they're saying, don't stare at the camera. And the kids are like this, just staring at the camera. Every one of them. You can hear the director going, stop staring at the camera. Because they're this little and they're being told to act. I'm like, that kid's 3. What are you talking about acting? Come on.
That's a film that nobody wanted either. A Little Rascals movie. Yeah, because everyone remembers the Little Rascals, don't they?
Well, I got some age on you guys. I remember the Little Rascals.
Luckily, he was an orphan owned by the studio, so nobody cared if he died.
People have a soft spot in their heart for that film, and I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it either. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't think it was a thing that translated well over here.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I remember it when I was a kid, but it wasn't something that I'd like go out of my way to watch. again after the first time watching it.
Yeah,
Just
I grew
watch
up
Hook.
with it.
It's much better.
Watch what?
Hook.
Yeah.
It's much better.
Ah,
If you want
That's a
child
very good
actors.
film.
yeah. Not a fan of that movie.
it's
I love Robin Williams. I adore Robin Williams.
it's Dustin. What's he called?
Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman. I was going Dustin Roberts, and then I was getting confused. Yeah, it's him in that chewing the scenery. Like
It's
it
true.
must be so good to be Captain Hook in a film because you can just panto villain it up to 11. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, we get the spot after this where Higgins is with Rebecca, and he's telling her that the weekend's match is not sold out. She's okay with that because she wants this team to fail. She's fine with it, right? And then we get to the press conference with Jamie with the beer, and it's Darth Steiner. Is it the favorite beer of Jamie Tartt? I'm not going to butcher your language. I apologize. He says, "Get my tats," right? He's got the bottle up here, you know. And he said, this one on my arm is important to me. It's Chinese for arm, which is so freaking great. What? Oh,
it is that classic trope of people having Chinese symbols put on them and not knowing what they mean.
Not knowing what they mean. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it means courage. And then, like, an actual Chinese person's like, no, it means, like, park bench.
Yeah.
Or, yeah. It's,
oh, it's so good. And then he does the Brunicorn, which is great.
But it's that thing of like it cuts to the people in the press and they're laughing. I don't know if they're laughing at him because he's such a fool.
You notice there's only like 10 people in there. It's not even
Yeah.
close to being full, and you're like,
No.
yeah.
But Keeley stood at the back, and Rebecca comes and talks to her. Like Keeley's like, "I set this up. I get 10%," and Rebecca goes, "You're not back with that dickhead, are you?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those beautiful things because this is the start of their like blossoming relation. I think at one point Keeley said, if I could reach, I'd kiss you on those lips.
She did. I think maybe we could say, guys, that she made inroads with Rebecca before Ted did, maybe. Maybe?
Yeah, Rebecca warmed to her more than Ted. After the whole complimenting her boobs, yeah.
Well, yeah, that too. I was going to say, I think maybe it's because like she saw a lot of herself in Keeley, and she kind of like stopped Keeley from basically going down the same path that Rebecca did with Rupert, with Jamie. And then obviously, like, she now kind of sees her as well as a friend, sees her as someone she wants to kind of like just the best for.
But she's a confidant, but also she wants to sort of mentor her as well. As we see later on with the Notebook, yeah.
Oh, it's a good bit. I really like that. But the Jamie stuff, when he's making these stupid jokes and no one's popping at all, he goes, "This is fucking funny." Like, I love the way he says that.
You're getting this for free, and it's like, good, because
yeah, no extra for that. So Rebecca pulls Keeley into the hall. This is the part where we get the idea about this other job. Is she'd be interested in doing some branding work for the other players? Keeley makes some weird gay jokes out of this, which you think she'd make the one and stop, and she kept going. But instead of feeling weird, it kept getting funnier, which is really nice.
It's the rule of three. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because she's like, men give each other jobs in the toilets all the time. And she goes, "Oh, I bet they do."
Yeah, they do.
And then she's going, No. I mean, like, occupations, jobs. And she's like, yeah, hand jobs, blow jobs, foot jobs. Well, it'd be feet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, she has to
Rebecca's like,
she does the action.
Jobs. We also find out what Keeley's famous for as well.
Right.
Kind of nearly always being famous.
That's right.
And it's like, Jay, in the UK, there's so many of those people.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Who are
social
just
media
famous for being sort of famous. How does that start?
Social media is full of them. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. This show is very timely. Like, the themes are timeless. And the sentiment and the heartache and the love, it's all timeless. You could have put this writing would have worked in with any ethnicity, I think, with any culture. Honestly, I think that they're timeless themes, but the show's very timely in as much as she's famous for almost being famous. In the culture we live in, it makes a lot of sense. So I'm good with that. She tells her to think of it as a plan B. So we know we're going to come back to it. This is awesome when Ted and his family go to the Crown and Anchor, and he's schooling them on the proper words to use, which is good in and of itself. But when they walk in, and Baz immediately says, "When are you going to win a game, you fucking wanker?" And he's like, "Oh, hi, this is my wife." Just brings them in. And Baz says, "Absolute pleasure to meet you, Miss." Oh my God, it's awesome.
What is it? It's chips. Fries are chips. Chips are crisps. Yep. And bangers are not great music.
Songs. Yeah.
And not great songs, but they taste so good they'll make you want to dance.
That's a great line.
Hey, what is up? Tom Clark here for Tom Clark's 6M Podcast, where we focus on movies, music, Marvel, magazines, miniseries, and more. It's a complete geek culture / pop culture podcast. Brand new episodes drop every Tuesday. The show is available for subscription right now today on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Just subscribe and you'll be all set. Tom Clark's 6M Podcast.
And the cool part is that she tells him, or he tells Baz, it's Coach's wife. She's heard everything. She's like, "Nice recovery, well done."
Don't they let him go and play darts as well?
May
comes over and gives him the darts. Off you go.
Yeah, out of the blue. And I'm like, I know in the scene you had to get the child out of the scene, but that happens so quick. Like, that was kind of a quick moment, wasn't it? It was a bad idea also, as we'll see later. So they sit down, they order fish and chips. She asks him if they wrap in a newspaper. She was led to believe that they do. And Ted says no, but that would be great because it's his dream to learn something while she says it's always been your dream to learn something while you eat, which is a great line. And again, it's back to the hokiness of Ted. Not hokiness, but you know what I mean. Those little idiosyncrasies that he has, right? It's good stuff.
He says something about a donut. I didn't catch it. He says something, a donut, because even the whole would have knowledge.
A donut that could teach you about Rosa Parks.
That was it, yeah.
He gives a lot of information right through the hole.
A weird throwaway line.
It is.
Yeah, it's very good.
It is. And then you see that Henry has that Henry has put a dart in Paul's arm. Paul's standing there and he's got the dart hanging out. And he's like, trying to, who is it that tries to touch it? I think Jeremy tries to touch it. It's so funny.
Yeah, I just wanted to see.
Yeah. Paul's the best one of the three.
It's the fact he doesn't try and remove it. He's just stood there in shock with it.
Yeah. He's like, it's fine. Happens all the time. This is good. So we get this scene outside where I think it's the train that's going by. And Jamie's by this sports car, which is a nice ride, by the way. And he's hitting on Keeley. She walks up and she tells him that she'll be sending over pics from the photographer. And he hits on her. And she says no. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. This is actually when they're in the locker room. That's way after, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're in they have so many scenes together. It's hard to keep straight. I'll use that. Anyway, that's my excuse. It's in the locker room when Roy sees it from a distance, and he assumes that they're together, and she has to tell him that they're no longer together. And again, guys, this is another moment of Roy and Keeley connecting.
This is a great scene.
It is.
The fact that Roy thinks that she's got back with him, and he straight away kind of like tries to be like the knight in shining armor, and she's like, "No, I'm just doing PR for him. I'm not."
Well, he says, "I'm. It's my job to put up with him, but you don't have to."
Yeah,
and then she sort of reveals, "Oh no, I'm just doing some PR work for him. It's fine." And Roy's, "Oh, okay then."
And then when she says, "But I'll be sure to text you, like to ask you for like permission for things in future," and he tries to justify it by going, "Well, in training, like." Sam was open and he could have passed to him, but he didn't. He was just a prick. And he gets a text off Keeley immediately, like, "My bladder's full. Can I go to the toilet, please?" It's the fact he reads it. He goes, "Yes."
That was like the version of Roy that you get in moments where he's like, "I'm not the tough Roy. I'm an awkward guy who's attracted to this girl, Roy, and he doesn't know how to." So like you said, well, I mean, just he won't pass. He won't make. And I'm like, stop. You're burying yourself.
He's had to default back to the only thing that he knows, and that's football.
Yeah,
that's right.
And again, it's that thing of Keeley just disarming him at every opportunity. because he's like you said, he's trying to come in and white knight all over it.
It's true.
And she's just like, I can look after myself. Like, I'm a big girl. But and then he just defaults to sports talk, and she's got no time for it. She knows she's won. All these things are just going tick in the win column for me, and walk away.
It's true. Yeah, she keeps one-upping him all the time. We see Ted and his kid are building the double-decker bus. This is an interesting moment, in as much as not trying to figure it out. It's a nice little interesting family moment that we don't get a whole lot of moving forward. But it's kind of cool because Sam Cooke is playing in the background, and Sam Cooke makes everything better. Okay, Bring It On Home is playing, and it's so good. They're all happy. They're building this bus together, and it's awesome. I mean, it's one of those. It's a throwaway moment too, but man, it has so much to do later, and it shows you that the three of them together seem to be fine, but the two of them together.
It's the sort of bait and switch that we know. Ted isn't this marriage isn't a happy marriage, but when the child's there, they put. I don't think it's genuinely a front. I think they love being together as a three, but when it's just the two of them or they're away from each other, that's sort of when like the rot sets in, and it must be difficult. Like I've done long distance relationships, and it is difficult to do because it's you're not with someone like now we know that like the damage was already there before Ted left. This was Ted giving her space, like a bit too much space, like half the world away space, and it backfires massively. But we do get the I think it's the line of 6 hands are better than 4, and it's a weird thing. But I was like, I quite like that. Yeah,
it's good. So Ted's coming back with breakfast after this scene. And he compliments a character. It's the old man. His name is actually Mr. Man, played by Tom Crotcher. And he compliments the scarf, and he says, "Hey, wanker, don't you fuck up the match." And Ted says, "I appreciate you. We'll see what happens."
it's unkillable. Like
it is.
Optimism. Yeah.
Yeah. God, it's awesome. We see him later, and it's awesome when we see him later. Ted brings in breakfast and gives Henry a scone. He hits the peanut butter jar, which is a tie back to the line from earlier.
Here's a scone. It's like a biscuit, but it pulls all the moisture out of your mouth.
It's awesome.
That sums it up perfectly.
Mate, I love a scone.
I had one yesterday, and I thought of this show.
But you've got to put like a load of butter on it, yeah.
Yeah, or loads of jam.
Yeah, I'm not a cream person, but
No, I'm not cream. Well, just raspberry jam. Get the juice back.
I love raspberry. That's a great flavor. Blackberry too, by the way. Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good. So I'm getting hungry. Listen, guys, by the end of, not the end of the show, but you know, when Michelle shows up later in the series with who she shows up with, I'm really not liking her character at that point. I'm really, and honestly, I think I still have a right to not like the character for who she showed up with. It's kind of really tasteless.
But
classless.
Do you not think that's just a rebound? That's just
sure. But of all people,
the person who she's with shouldn't have done it because that's a professional. That's
an integrity issue.
Breaking the hippopotamus oath. Yeah.
Yes.
But also, like, I genuinely think it's just her going. It's the first person that'll gives me comfort. I just think it's a classic rebound situation.
Also, it kind of like his attitude towards Ted, to not to get too like sidetracked from like way down the line, but his attitude towards Ted's kind of what like brings it back to Ted.
Yes. Oh, well done.
Because it's like, oh yeah, this guy isn't the answer. Ted's the answer. Because Ted's always the answer.
Ted is always, man, make a shirt out of that. Ted is always the answer. I love that.
What would Ted do?
What would Ted do? My God. So I say all that to say this. I had forgotten how great she is in this scene. Like, look, if you're a grown adult and you've ever had a tough relationship with the opposite sex, you felt every moment of this. Because kids, sometimes in the end, it just doesn't feel like the way it did to begin with. And that's where she's at. Like, this is heartbreaking, dude. She turns around crying, and he says Oklahoma to get her to tell the truth. And she says, every day I wake up hoping I'll feel the same way I did in the beginning. Maybe that's what marriage is. I'll keep trying. You know I will. What? That's heart-wrenching, man.
It is, but also, like, it's... if you love someone, it shouldn't be... Well, not let them go. It's not
if
a dog.
they come back, it's meant to be.
Yeah. But no,
it's
the thing of like, you shouldn't have to hope that it will change. It should always be like that. That's the thing. It's if you've fallen out of love with someone or whatever, that's fine. But you shouldn't just stay with them on the off chance that that feeling might come back, because it's not going to. Because you're putting too much pressure on yourself for it to happen, and a watched pot never boils. Like,
I think as well though, they're trying to stay together because they've got a child together, and you see that when they're building the bus, and like she's like a completely different person to who she is in this scene, and it's almost like that they're putting undue pressure on one another because they want to stay together because they don't want to like mess up their kid.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's like, well, by doing that, they're messing up each other.
It's true.
Yeah, you're damned if you do.
It's true.
Yeah.
So the next scene is Ted goes to his office. He's in his office, and he's bringing up things. Obviously the marriage is on his mind. The problems are on his mind. Nate says marriage is complicated, and he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't." He's trying to speak out of turn. He doesn't have any. He's never been married. He's never had a girlfriend in his life. And he asked Beard if he's ever been married, and Beard's like, "Ha!" Like, sure. And Ted says, Coach's views on romantic relationships are not too dissimilar from his views on cooking steak. You spend more than 5 minutes on one, it loses its flavor. Says, that about right, Coach? And Beard goes, yeah. Like, of course it's true,
Again, I think we've said it every episode, but it's the more we find out about Ted and Beard's relationship, the more it is they just share one brain.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Beard says, yeah. And Ted says, Nate says, well, Ted, why did you fly 4,438 miles away if you're so worried about your relationship? And he's like, that is an extremely specific number. Something to that effect, right? Well, my dad used to be a cartographer, which is good.
I didn't realize how important that would end up becoming. Because there's that scene with obviously Nate and his dad where he's looking at the old map his dad drew.
Yeah.
Of the distance between him and his mum or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
That's a lot further down the line, but yeah.
Yeah,
it is,
but it's insane that they foreshadowed that in such a little throwaway line and then came back to it in such a massive detail that like kind of it answers so many questions in Nate's story. Again,
everything is there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's true. I'd forgotten all about that. Oh, I can't wait to finish. I don't want to be done. I don't want to be done, but I can't wait to get to moments. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to finish.
Once we've done season 3, we'll go right back to 1 and we'll do it all again.
Oh, I'm here for it. Are you kidding me?
The rewatch of Ted Lasso.
Yes. We didn't get it right the first time. Here's some stuff
until the heat death of the universe. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Ted Lasso forever. So the line that he gives him when he says, and again, you feel this stuff, kids. If you're an adult and have ever had a relationship, you know how this feels as well. Ted says that, him being around just seemed to be doing more harm than good. No matter what he did for her, he seemed to backfire. And the therapist recommended giving some space. And I'm like, me being around is a problem. Like I've had past relationships where that's been a problem. Like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, well, then we're done. What else is there, right? My God, if it's a problem, that's a problem. Like, there's only 2 of us here. If one of us, that's it. I mean, oh God. Do you love films that have the same plot over and over and over and over again with only slightly different looking people in the main roles, but just don't have time to watch them all? You do? Then simply listen to Hallmark of Greatness, the only podcast that takes you through such masterpieces as Love at Sea, Love at Christmas, and A Volcano Sacrifice for Love. See a pattern here? Available wherever you get podcasts from, And also find us on social media by looking for Hallmark of Greatness. And this is supposed to be a comedy, right? And it's hilarious, but man, there's so many great moments like that, dude.
Yeah, it is mostly funny, but then it hits those emotional beats and rips your heart out at times.
Oh, this episode's an emotional roller coaster for sure.
Rips your heart out, but then there's moments that make me cry, like unconditionally. It's incredibly good writing. The only thing I can compare it to is the Scottish sitcom Still Game, that is mostly jokes, but then has these emotional beats in it that take you by surprise. Don't feel shoehorned in, like a genuine things that happen, and make you laugh, make you cry, make you feel things. And this is the only thing I can compare it to is this.
Still Game's a great show.
Yeah.
I love Still Game.
I've never heard of it. There's a lot of British TV I've never heard of, to be fair.
You'd have to watch it with subtitles, I'm guessing.
Oh, is it that thick?
Very Scottish, yeah.
Oh, is
very
it?
Scottish. Wow. I think it's on
Netflix UK. Yeah, I don't know if it's an American
If you've got a VPN, you'll be able to get it on UK Netflix.
I may give that a shot.
It's very good.
It is very. It's quite short as well. Well, there's loads of series, but like each season's only like 6 episodes.
And they have 20-minute episodes as well.
20 minutes, yeah. So you
But again, one of the best endings to any sitcom is the ending to Still Game, because
I still haven't finished it.
I was gonna say, don't tell me anything. If I happen to find it,
wept like a child. Yeah,
I might go back to rewatch them.
Oh, I think I know what happened. What happened was he finally got the gauntlet, and he said, "I'm Iron Man," and fixed everything.
I'm Iron Man, Sonny. That's a terrible Scottish accent.
I am Iron Brew.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
It was right there, wasn't it? I stepped over it.
Oh, that's not bad. So we get the
Iron Brew. If you don't know, Tom, is a Scottish soft drink that looks like rusty water.
But it's delicious.
It's like pure sugar.
Not anymore. It's
like
not
bright. Well, not anymore. It used to be. It's like bright orange.
It's kind of what's the stuff that tastes like melted ice cream? Cream soda-y.
Cream soda, yeah.
It's kind of cream soda-y, but it's the most drunk soft drink in Scotland. The only place in the world where it isn't Coca-Cola, I believe.
Wow.
It's Scotland, and it's Iron Brew.
Dude, there's nothing in cream soda that's good for anyone on the planet, but it tastes so good. There's literally nothing in there, I think.
Why is it green sometimes and clear other times?
It's only orange over here from what I've seen.
Oh.
Like creamsicle.
No.
Cream soda. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking, God, I'm going to be hungry after this show. Anyway, Higgins comes in. They have the bit about the cell phone where Beard has deleted some apps to optimize the performance on his phone.
Not battleships.
Yeah. Well, that's playing too much.
Spending too much time. And it's like Higgins is so beat down and downtrodden. He's not even angry. He's just like, okay, it's probably for my own good.
And this is the first time we really see the Diamond Dogs, though they're not called that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
We do get these little 4-way meetups that they have.
It's true.
And
this is the first time all 4 of them are like kind of sharing that room together, isn't it?
It is.
And doing emotional discussions, yeah.
Yeah, because Ted asks Higgins a question. Higgins is like, "Oh, thanks for welcoming me into like your inner sanctum."
Yeah, and he's trying to on the bookcase, and he can't. And Nate's right there.
Oh, that is cracking!
So good.
He's such a good awkward actor.
He is.
He's brilliant. He's so good.
Oh, it's awesome. Like some of these guys are so good. You just give them the scene and the line, and they can make it work. Like they put the life in it.
I feel like a lot of the scene was ad-libbing.
I feel like that too.
Like
a lot of the shows ad-lib.
They did the whole like point that like Higgins had to make about marriage, where he's like talking about like, oh yeah, I've got 5 sons, a wife I've been married to 27 years,
a very small
20-year-old, a 20-year-old cat that's like on its deathbed,
and
a very small house, but we make it work. It can be hard. And he's like, oh, that sounds fair. But he's like, what's the bad stuff? He's like, did you miss the part with the 5 boys
and the cat and all that,
and the cat about to die?
He's like, even if you're with the right person, even the hard times are easy. And they're all like, give each other that look.
That's some deep Higgins knowledge, yeah.
I know, right? And they start talking about dropping a truth bomb. I said, Ted, this is someone called 911. It's like, but I guess over here it's not 911. It's 999. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's
Which
is it in this one or is it in something else I was watching where they're like, but does that not lead to more?
It's right here.
Dials. Yeah.
And then like Nathan Higgins said the exact same thing I was thinking. Maybe that's why there's always so many police cars.
It's like, well, that explains a lot, actually. Again, those little moments of characters going, oh, yeah, I get it. Like, it's so quick, but it's just...
It's not stuff you ever think about, though, is
No.
it? You take that it's 999 here.
Yeah.
Then when someone goes, that's weird, and you go, yeah, it is a bit.
Especially because it would be easier to just dial 999.
Yeah.
I'll dial 991 and then I'll hold my finger over the one in case it's a burglar. Yeah, it's. I think that's what Ted does really well is bring up these weird little idiosyncratic things that people don't think about, and then you go, yeah, that is a strange thing though. He's a foreigner in a foreign land, isn't he? But
Very true.
It's just it's the start of these things, and the little proto Diamond Dogs things are just these brilliant sort of four-way conversations that, again, if Brett Goldstein scripted this, then give him all the awards.
Yeah.
Because it's so good.
By the way, we're dating ourselves with how the time we're recording this, so maybe I shouldn't date us. But I was going to mention that I just saw the news that season 3's been nominated for 22 Emmys for season 3. Yes.
It has won awards before, hasn't it?
It has.
Like Emmys.
Best show, best actor, best supporting actress, I think.
Rightfully so.
Yes.
Moustache.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Good call. We're back in the locker room. The guys huddle up to go out to play. Jamie's sitting down taking selfies. Ted asks if he's a germaphobe. Why didn't you get in the huddle? Ted says, you remind me of my grandma with the channel hopper. You just push all the wrong buttons, which is good. And Jamie, in one of the most disrespectful moments, I think, that he's ever portrayed in front of Ted, flat out doesn't care anymore, says, let's make a deal. You get to keep on preaching all your the fact that he says it so awkwardly, all your yeehaw bullshit, that is hilarious the way he says it. And I'll keep ignoring you because this team is tragic. I score all the goals, and I'm the only one they come to see. Hands in. At that point, if I'm Ted, I'm like, you can just go on and sit down. We'll do this without you. Like, he's not playing.
We kind of get that next episode, don't we? But
no, it's this one.
It's this one.
No. I mean, no. In the training.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the bit that he finally sort of loses his rag with Jamie a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like Ted was about to, and then obviously Beard comes in with his kid. Yeah. And the fact that Jamie uses Ted's kid as leverage in this is horrifying.
It's a genuine, I'm going to do a swear, but it's an asshole maneuver.
It is.
Like gigantic Godzilla-style proportions.
When he's like, when the next goal I score, it's for me and you. It's not, but it's for you, but it's also for me. And he looks at Ted as he says it, though he doesn't look at his son.
Even trying to be humble, he fails at it.
He says, good lad. And when he walks out, did you notice he looks at Beard and says, good boy?
Yeah.
At Beard, and then walks out. And I'm like, all right. But what cool thing about this scene is we got the Jamie Tartt first time ever, I think. So, yeah. And again, he does the gyrations in front. I'm like, you do this in front of a coach, you're not playing tonight. Like, it's just, I mean, come on, but like.
But I guess it's that thing of Ted knows that everyone already hates him, and to not feature their starting player in the starting lineup would, be the death knell. I mean, Rebecca would get her way then.
To be fair, I think the way it happens, it kind of like it goes in Ted's favor that he takes him off and then the team win.
Yeah.
Because it sends the message to Jamie more than if he had have just gone, all right, you're not playing tonight.
Yeah. Or if he had just stood there and called and like bollocked him.
And it tells the team, I'm serious about us winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm serious about it. You may not think that because he's our best player, but he's destroying this team that all you guys are trying to build.
You're all kind of getting what I'm selling. You're all on the same page a bit, and this guy is the sort of cancer that needs to be either cut out or cured.
And Jay, you'll have to set me straight because I'm not this brand, like this version of football. Never really been into it, and I don't know how sports are handled across the pond, right? But in the States, brother, you sitting down. That's it. There's no, did he sit? Yeah, he's sitting down. That's it. Like, so is the culture the same with sports over there? Can you imagine a top player like something similar to this, or would it be like they set him down?
It would definitely depend on, like, obviously, like if the player's playing like Jamie Tartt is, they'd be like shocked because like he's the best player. Why have they done that? But then usually a lot of the time it will come out like pretty much. It'll come out in the open why it's happened quite quickly. Doesn't always. Sometimes it's just like a mystery that no one knows why it's happened, but 9 times out of 10 it'll come out in the press.
I mean, there have been examples of like managers going in and I want to say Graham Souness booting a football shoe, and was it Alex Ferguson booting one of those at a player's head? Like
kicked the boot at David Beckham, and it hit David Beckham in the face.
Yeah,
and that's why David Beckham left Man United.
It's normally more the manager ranting and raving than a player, because they're just there to get their £70,000 a week wage. They don't really care. But it's again, I don't know that much about it, but I remember that story going, "That's assault."
Yeah,
no kidding. This and the entire rest of this episode is basically this scene. So we might as well jump into it. But I do love the bit when we go to the pub and we see that, Baz, Jeremy, and Paul, the trio, are there, of course. And, they're yelling and
Mr. Mann's next to them at the bar.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. They're yelling, I hate that fucking wanker. And Paul says, nice family, though. And Baz is like, damn it, Paul, don't humanize him.
Don't humanize him.
So good. They're always mad at Paul because Paul's the most decent of the three of them.
Yeah, he's the sort of, I want to say like the child of the group, but he's not. He's the most grown up and sensible and mature of them because he's just a man doing his job. Like, it's only football.
Just a nice fella.
Yeah,
he's a nice fella. Yeah.
They all come round in the end, but yeah.
Oh,
Ted wins everyone over.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding? Of course. The crowd is chanting wanker at Ted. Of course they are. Jamie's the only one scoring. He's showboating and he's yelling me. And Ted's like, I thought he was saying meat.
I thought he was saying meat. That makes more sense.
Yes. Sam goes down. They check on him. And again, in American sports, you are done for the night. You're done. Jamie steps over him.
This is one of those bits where you go, I thought the stuff with Ted's kid was bad, but Jamie is just, like, insufferable.
Yeah, yeah.
And Roy screams at him, check on your teammate.
Yeah.
And so he goes back and he goes, Sam, and then just rolls him over. Can you just move out of the way?
Yes.
And Roy squares up to him, and the commentary is like, this hasn't happened since
2001 Newcastle, which
is that a reference? Yeah.
It's a real reference, yeah.
So I remember that game because I support Newcastle, so I had to have the shame of it on me, getting brought up all the time. That and punching horses. That's a different story for a different day. But basically, we were losing, and one of our players had got sent off, and then about 2 minutes later, pretty much the same thing that happens here happened, where two of the players started fighting with each other from the same team. Both got sent off, and then this other player was just sat in the dressing room, like after having an early bath, and they're both like getting dragged in, like to keep separated after having a fight. And he's like, "What's going on?" They both got sent off in this. Obviously, it was just a yellow card, but very, very similar sort of thing.
That's I had no idea. I love that we've got I love that we've got you here for proper context for that stuff, because I honestly had no idea.
For sport knowledge, because
Yes, because I really don't know, man.
I knew it was a real thing. I remember it happening, but I couldn't tell you what team it was. Yeah, but
and look, full transparency, man. I was the fat kid growing up. I was not in organized sports. They wouldn't want me anyway, and I didn't care about it. I mean, no one picks the fat kid, right? But I do understand the concept. I've been in pro wrestling locker rooms for years. This concept of we're working together. We're together on this. This is a group effort. And when one of us acts out, you just stabbed us all in the back. You didn't do that to Sam. You did it to all of us. How could you do that?
Hey, Tom Clark here for Tom Clark's Main Event. And if you are not subscribed, you're doing life wrong. Going strong since 2014 with over 300 episodes and a variety of guests that include Randy Orton, The Big Show, Rob Van Dam, and a lot more. Check us out on all the major platforms, including YouTube at Boink Studios. Subscribe today, Tom Clark's Main Event.
I can't speak for women, right? I don't know if this translates for women or not on organized sports or not, or in groups. But, buddy, for men, it's like you may as well have just physically stabbed me in the back. I don't know you now. You betrayed us, that kind of thing.
Does it not, when he sort of pushes Sam out of the way, does it not cut to Colin, and Colin looks like genuinely disgusted with him?
Yes, absolutely.
They all do. So after Jamie scores the equaliser and he's celebrating, the whole team had just stood there looking like reviled by Jamie
because he could have crossed, he could have passed the ball, but again he didn't.
There's a great bit in this where Roy like really helps mentor Sam become like a club legend, which is what like the kind of like one of the really cool backstories is that Sam goes from being like this guy who's like a flop transfer, like he's just not meeting his potential, to everybody like loving Sam Obisanya. And it's when Roy like leans over and Sam's like, honestly, I'm fine. Should I just get up? And Roy's like, no.
It's such a Sam thing, though. He's like, Roy goes like, are you okay? And Sam goes, honestly, I'm fine, but everyone was making a fuss, so I thought I'd better stay on the floor.
And then Roy just saying, what you're going to do is, I'm going to help you up. You're going to limp a little bit and then act like, no, I'll be able to carry on. And everyone will applaud you because they think you're brave.
He says they'll love it. And it's like, it's that handing on of veteran knowledge to someone that Roy sees potential in.
Yeah.
And also, it just sticks it to Jamie as well.
You just nailed it. This could have been Jamie he was telling us to, but Jamie doesn't want his help. He doesn't want his advice.
But it also steals Jamie's thunder. Like,
yes, it does.
It's that thing of, Sam's getting up and he's gonna play on, and it's just after Jamie scored. It's just these little things that Roy just constantly like undermine Jamie, justifiably, because he's a absolute monster at this point.
He is.
Yeah.
But this is the thing where Roy's like, I'm the captain. I have to take responsibility for these people as well.
What did you think about Ted running up into the stands to ask Rebecca if he said, I'm going to bench Jamie. I just wanted you to know, make sure they'll be okay.
It's the fact that she's like, she thinks it's like the greatest thing. Well, she's like, she really undermines him, doesn't she, at first? Like, she's like, well, you're the manager. It's your job to make that decision. But then as soon as he walks away, she's like, that's brilliant. It's going to destroy the game.
Love it.
The commentary as well. He's running up those stairs. That's some good cardio.
Yeah. It's great stuff, man. That's really good. He gets back down. Of course, he tells I want to call him ref. What am I calling him?
Linesman.
Thank you.
I think official time.
Well, no, actually, he's the fourth official.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you have the linesman, which are the two that kind of like run up and down the sides to make sure the ball's on side. You've got the ref in the middle, and you got the fourth official who's kind of like the timekeeper / like it records any stoppages basically. Yeah. And like any kind of like substitutions and changes.
And then you've got like VAR people now as well.
Oh my God, that's so much. So as I was saying, he tells the ref, he says, ref, I'm going to do I'm going to do a substitution. And when they reveal on the TV, he's like, Jamie Tartt, like you just hear, and it's kind of like, what?
I love even the player that's coming on turns and goes, wait, what?
It's so good. It's so good. I mean, that's and then as he comes off the field, Ted's like, way to play, Jamie, way to get us back in it. And Jamie calls him a stupid twat. Like, even at that moment, Jamie's trying to or Ted's trying to encourage him. Even in that moment, he didn't have to.
Again, it's that thing of when he comes off, like he doesn't like high five the player coming on. He doesn't like clap to the crowd. Doesn't do any of those things. It's just he's not getting his own way, so he's taking his ball in. He's going to stomp off. He's having a sulk. Doesn't sit on the bench. Just goes down the tunnel. That's him done.
Yeah, doesn't even stay. Doesn't even stay. Just gets a shower and fucks off.
Yeah, he's gone.
It's the work of a petulant child.
It is. Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So we're at halftime now. The game is 2-2, right? Ted walks in and Roy sits. Roy says, "Sit down and listen."
Sit down.
He's got Roy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Because Roy could have been like, "I hate Jamie, but we're going to lose now," but he didn't.
When like Ted takes Jamie off, you see Roy look at Ted kind of like quizzically, but also like I don't know why he's done that, but I appreciate that he has done that because it might get them playing as a team.
Again, at this point as well, though, we're still on the Ted Lasso I don't care about wins and losses.
Yeah.
It's about making the best versions of these people.
Yeah.
He might not have a job next season. His marriage is falling apart. Like, he's in some sort of spirally free fall, maybe, but he's never going to let on about that. So, why not, play the hand? Like, go all in on it.
I think as well, like, with Ted subbing Jamie off, it shows Jamie who's in charge. Like, Jamie thinks the team revolves around him. Ted having the power to take Jamie out of the team. Basically, it shows Jamie that, like, for the first time, you're just a part of this machine. You're not.
You're a cog in the machine.
Yeah, you're a cog in the machine.
What do we say about pro wrestling? No one's bigger than the business. Nobody. That's it. And once you let a guy believe that he is, you'll never get him. You'll never get him back, and you'll never get your locker room back. The locker room has to know nobody here is bigger than anybody else. One guy may earn more money. One guy may score more points. But without all of you in here, this guy's not doing anything. He just can't because he can't.
I'm not going to go and watch a show with one match on it. No.
Thank you. That's exactly right. Also, we got to acknowledge when he makes the move and Beard just turns and looks at him, and just goes okay, and then just turns back and doesn't question it.
Beard has complete trust in Ted in this situation. That's the thing. It's like
shared brain.
Yeah,
it's true.
And to be fair, he's probably from when Ted's been like doing American football stuff. He's probably seen Ted do the exact same thing with the exact same attitude as player.
I imagine there is those egos in, especially even at college level sort of stuff. But people who are, they've gone because you can get like a full university ride just by playing sports, so you don't have to pay for tuition just because you're good at catching and running.
It's true.
Mental.
Yeah, it's true. The story that Ted tells here.
So we get the title of the episode from.
Yes, finally we get there because when you watch it, what do you mean, Tam? What's that? And then you get it. He tells a story about his art teacher, Mrs. Scanlon. Every time she bends over to check and see how your art project is going, you feel all squiggly inside. Squiggly. And then he stops.
Great word.
He stops and goes, like he's remembering back. It's such a great moment, dude.
What was it? She was a striking woman. Not beautiful, but striking.
And dude, when they showed the locker room, Roy was laughing.
Yeah.
Like laughing with the guys. I'm like, what?
It's that thing of like Ted being kind of self-deprecating.
Yes.
But like just giving him a window into his world, basically. And it's the first time I ever saw tan lines.
Yeah. There you go. Good stuff. He says, most of the time change is good. Embrace change. Be brave. Do whatever you have to so that everyone in your life can move forward with theirs. Because maybe it's the only way you can truly help her be happy. And then the team's like, what? And he goes, obviously by her, I mean Lady Football.
Beard's like, good save.
Yeah. He says, Sam, I'm shifting to midfield for the second half. He says, one last thing. And I want so great. I want everyone's eyes on me when I say this. And he jumps up, and when he hits that believe sign, I mean, it sends you. I got chills right now remembering it. Such a great moment.
For an inanimate piece of paper, it plays an enormous part in this show. Yeah,
I love that Isaac jumped when it happened. It was a very good moment. I love that. And when they get up to go to the board with Beard, Roy tells Sam, he says, "I never really liked Tartt." And he's like, "We know, Roy. We know."
Yeah, you've not hidden it at all.
Not hidden it at all. This to me, and I know there's a lot more to come, but this is one of the most satisfying moments in this show is when Jamie got benched and we got to see the guys work together. And Roy, the veteran, who's at the end of his career. Everybody knows, I think, we'll get into that later, didn't score. He made the pass. So Sam could score.
Because that's the play. That's the play they've been working on since day one.
It's true.
Everyone's going to mark Jamie because Jamie's the most, quote-unquote, talented player there. Let's leave Sam open. Like, it makes sense. But Jamie won't do it because of his ego. And this is another time where we see Roy leaning into his role as mentor / wise old mountain man. And yeah, he makes that run, but he sees, and he literally says, like, the commentator's like, there's nobody on Obasanya at all. Passes it across, goes in. They do that horrible thing in the pub where they all throw beer around. It makes me so angry because nobody does that. People who don't drink do that when they go and watch football.
It depends, like, on the place, I guess. Like, you wouldn't get that in a pub for sure.
No, you'd kick all the Reds in.
Yeah, if you'd
but the owner's up there with them too.
Yeah, like you'd get it if it was like a fan area, like watching it somewhere. Like,
I just think people genuinely just keep like the bottom third of their pint so they can throw it around. It annoys me. It's a waste of booze.
It's usually like for England games, isn't it? Like the World Cup.
I've seen the pictures, like the videos of it, and it just makes me angry.
But it's one of those things that happens like once every 2 years. You wouldn't see that like of a weekly game for sure.
Not
just watching a game down the pub. Like, no chance. You'd see that at like, as I say, like
a World Cup semi-final sort of thing.
Yeah, like
or an FA Cup final, or
yeah, like when England got into the Euros finals and they shown the footage of like that fan area, and it was just like it was like a mushroom cloud of beer from everyone, like throwing the pints up in the air, like just by throwing their arms up the air, celebrating. You wouldn't see that like as a regular occurrence for sure.
And I imagine beer's not inexpensive either. I imagine it's not cheap.
In London, that's about £8 a pint. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, about $20. I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
It's probably closer to like
15.
$9.50.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm not a drinker. I don't know how much anything costs. So.
We yeah. Our economy is not that good anymore, Joe. We're closer to the dollar than we thought.
I'm shocked.
God help you.
I had a look not that long ago at the exchange rate, and it upset me.
God save the kings, all I can tell you, because buddy over here, it's tragic. I'm just saying. Tragic.
Yeah, so, for like a £9 pint, it would be $12.
Oof. All right, okay.
The crowd is chanting wanker again, but it's funny because Beard says, listen to that. And Ted said, it's the same word, ain't it? He goes, yeah, but different. Because this time it's out of respect. It's like, by the way, would that happen over there? Is that logical? No?
I don't think so.
I don't know. They probably be chanting his name as opposed to wanker. But then I think it's more kind of just like the whole British thing of like calling someone like a bad thing as a term of endearment.
Yeah. America is the only place the C word is an offensive word. Here it can be used to mean your best mate. Like,
sure.
Yeah.
It's like dude over here. We use dude for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just, us and the Australians, swear words for everything. Yeah.
There's mate, bro.
Is this also the bit where we get Beard's Ronald Reagan?
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, the actor. So good.
It's just.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, me too. That joke doesn't even fit here, and it's a throwaway goofball moment, but it's still hilarious.
It's just a great bit because Ted's
is.
like, "Oh, you led me right into that as well."
Got me again.
Yeah, it's just a nice moment between Ted and Beard, isn't it? Though
It is.
Genuinely is.
The hard work's paying off.
Yeah,
For sure.
And when he gets his son on his shoulders, they all really start cheering for him.
His kid runs on. He says, "Dad, what's a wanker?" And he goes, "Well, that's a man that likes to be alone with his thoughts." It's so good.
It's good.
And when he puts his kid on his shoulders and it's on the Tron, on the big screen, Rebecca says, "Shit."
Yeah,
because you're like,
he's won the fans.
He's going to win the town if he's not careful. And then she has no chance of killing the team.
It's like as well when he comes onto the pitch and he's like hugging all the players and Roy pulls him to one side and it's just like taking Jamie off. Took massive balls. I respect that and just shakes his hand.
Yeah. He says, balls is all we got.
Yeah. It's like that's the bit, that bit in particular is where Roy's completely on board. He's won.
Yeah.
For sure. The setup on this last scene is beautiful. It's night. It's rainy. Beautiful. The way the lights are bouncing off the pavement and everything. It's a gorgeous shot. I mean, I don't know if we give the show enough props for the shots that we see. I mean, it's awesome. So Michelle and Henry is the kid's name are leaving. Henry's playing ball with soccer girl who gets a name for the first time, and it's Shannon. Yeah. I don't think we ever got a name until now.
No.
So that was cool. Ted talks about meeting Michelle for the first time in school. They were the only ones in a big parking lot, and it was so random. There was no way for them to know it was going to be the start of something. And at the time we're seeing this, we see Keeley close her trunk, and Roy's there like a serial killer out of nowhere.
He lurks around in that car park a lot, Roy.
Right, yeah. Scares the hell out of her. And it's so good. But, we're getting this scene with Ted and his wife, and it's like, again, it's gutting. It's gutting. But he's having to let her go. And he gets emotional, and he looks at his son. He said, "I promised myself I'd never quit on anything." She's like, "You're not quitting. You're just letting me go."
I look back on everything that we've been through and I wouldn't change a single thing even now. And he's like, he's had to come to terms with this.
It's true.
But it's obviously tearing him apart. And it's like, he says, "I've never quit anything in my life." And she just says, "You're not quitting. You're just letting me go." And it's like it's especially after like the high of them winning that match.
True. Yeah.
To then get this gut punch of emotion is it's a hell of a peaks and troughs.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And we get a nice setup with Keeley and Roy. And he apologizes for what happened yesterday, calls himself an idiot. And she says it's okay. And then you get a moment where he wants to talk to her. But instead he just says, "Good night, Keeley." And he walks off. If you didn't know before, now you know something's going to happen here. Like, at least you feel like it will.
Just the way she's looking at him and smiling at him, and you can see he's like, shit, I think she might be interested here.
It's those little moments between the two of them that have been building where neither of them want to make the move. They're both clearly digging each other, but neither of them wants to be the first one to like show weakness and let it happen. And it's just the fact that Roy goes, "Yeah, bye," and just walks off, and she's like,
"Night, Keeley."
Yeah.
I love how we get the juxtaposition here of one relationship is ending and one is beginning, and they're happening at the same time.
It's the circle of life.
Oh, that's good stuff. Don't start singing Lion King to me. No, that's great. I love that.
Copyright strikes.
I know, right? Don't need the show pulled down. Jeez. So,
the mouse coming for us.
Yeah, don't cross the mouse, man. The mouse is the boss. You kidding me? All the money in the world.
John showing up, throwing his wig at me.
That's true.
He's retired now. He doesn't give a shit.
I'm fairly sure I can outrun him and his robotic leg anyway.
This is a great scene, though. It does everything it needs to do. It hits all the right chords. When Beard comes out with the 2 beers, we get Mr. Man who walks by and says, "Hey, wanker, good job today," which is nice. He says, "Thank you, sir. Keep an eye on us. We might be turning this thing around." And then I think this is the first time we see Ted and Beard do their signature cheers, their toast. Very cool. I love that we don't get a reason why they do that. I love that they just do it.
Same brain again.
So there's a couple things with this scene which I thought were really clever. In this, like the fact that as soon as Ted sits down, Beard's like extending the beer out to him.
Yeah.
But then the fact as well that you can see the head's gone down on it. So, Beard's been stood there waiting for Ted to finish, like, talking to Michelle.
Brilliant.
To then go and then, like, be there to comfort him immediately.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Again, just little subtle things like that.
Yeah.
And you probably have to knock it down to get it.
Those beers looked flat as a pancake.
I mean, it is London.
That's true. That's true.
When they do their toast and they both drink and Beard takes a sip and Ted drinks a little bit longer. And at that little moment, you're like, it says so much without him speaking a word of dialogue. It's so good. So good.
Yeah.
Well, there's the end of this episode, kids. We have made it to the end of episode 5. Guys, what do you think? Jay, what's your takeaways from this episode that we're talking about here?
First of all, I forgot how great this episode was, which I feel like I'm going to say a lot when we
we say that after everyone.
Yeah, I think the stuff where it's obviously like planting the seeds of the Diamond Dogs is great.
Yep.
Planting the seeds for Roy and Keeley's relationship is great, as well as Rebecca and Keeley's friendship kind of blossoming a bit more. Basically, it just takes everything that happened in the last episode and just builds on it and builds on it more. Even like little things like helping Sam kind of like come out of his shell a bit more, with Roy kind of mentoring him and on stuff to do to like become like beloved by the fans. It all just feels like it's going in a really great direction of building these characters up.
For sure. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd say this episode is where Ted Lasso like properly starts, because this is where everything, like, the foundation has been set in the previous 4 episodes. This is where we start putting the floorboards in and the walls, and this is that episode. This is where we're on a even keel now. Everyone, we know who everyone is. We know where everyone's going, and this is like the mark zero for the rest of the series going forward. I genuinely look at those first 4 as introductions to characters, looking back at it, and this is where we find out, because at this point you didn't know that Ted was unhappy. Like, you kind of got hinted at, but didn't know that he was unhappy with it. Like, we got it just sets everything up going forward in this one episode.
This is why I like going last, because you guys make my life easy here, because I don't have to do much. You both killed it. I don't know how much more I can add to it. I can tell you as a sports fan that I'm looking forward to Coach Lasso, because we get Coach Lasso in the next episode.
Yes.
They call him Coach, and we've seen Coach, and we've heard, but we don't get to see him as Coach Lasso. I mean, we do and we don't. You guys know what I mean. But he's done bits of it. Yes.
But he's never, like, all up to this point, it was just to get them all to accept him.
Yes.
That's what I was saying. It's like, at this point, this is the ground zero for it. This is the slate is wiped clean, and this is where we start the series now.
Absolutely.
We also get in the next episode possibly one of my favorite characters.
Oh, I can't wait to get there. I'm so looking forward to it. We've been counting it down since the first episode.
I forgot how much I love him.
Oh, me too. It's so good.
He's fucking great.
He's oh my God. It's lights the screen up every time I see him. Well, there you have it, kids. There's episode 5, Tan Lines of the first season of Ted Lasso. Be sure that you are joining us with each and every episode. And do me a favor, kids. Tell your friends. Tell everybody you know. Share the show. We're not asking for much. Just some attention and some downloads. That's all. Word of mouth, baby. That's all we'd like to have from you. So if you would, again, help spread the word. As you see on the ticker below, at 2 Nations Pod on all the socials. You can't miss us. Go check us out. Follow us. Thanks for subscribing and downloading. For Joe and Jay, I'm Tom. See you next time, kids.